Hi guys! So in this video I will be trying out mixed media for the first time. And at the time I just grabbed whatever material with not much thought about it. I ended up using a mix of watercolours, coloured pencils, Copic markers, and gouache. So I painted this at the end of 2023, and I knew it would be the last painting for the year because of how busy December gets for me. So my main goal was just to have fun with this piece. And having fun with art is the thing I wanted to talk about in this video. Because looking back at this in 2024, I realised how much this painting made me improve. So I'm going to share the things that I learnt from this painting that I still use today. So first of all, this painting was actually meant to be a sketch. So when I approached this, I wasn't actually expecting anything from it. And it actually turned out to be one of my favourite paintings to this day. Usually if I plan pieces, I'll stick with what I'm used to and not actually get out of my comfort zone. But because I was just messing around and coming up with it as I went along, I tried new things. Like I would never have attempted the lighting from below, because I would fear messing it up. But what I learned after this was that it was actually okay to make mistakes, because we won't actually learn until we take the first step, even if it leads to a mistake. So the second thing I learned was that doing a piece you just be free and mess around with really helps with avoiding burnout. While we do want to improve with doing studies and making illustrations with big brain composition and colour theory, because let's face it, that's just really cool, but sometimes too much can really make your brain feel like mush, which then leads to not enjoying what you're doing. Or at least it does for me. But if that ever happens to you, just pick up some random art supplies and just mess around and have fun. Now the third thing I learned was really trusting the process. Because while at this point of the painting I did have a vague idea of what I wanted, it was still just a sketch and me testing out mixed media. So I didn't really care if it ended up looking bad or not. So despite being the ugly stage of the painting, I kept going. Because usually at this stage I'd just hate it and abandon it, and then burn it with fire and feel bad about myself. But because of the success of trusting the process with this painting, I've learned to just keep going even with planned pieces. And I'm so glad that I came to that realization. So I think now I will talk a bit about the painting itself. This is one of my characters, and when I usually paint him I like to add a lot of flow to it, because I want to give off an ethereal vibe. I chose the main colour being blue for the same reason, since I associate blue with calmness. I actually wasn't intending to go so heavy-handed with the saturated blue, but usually I listen to music while I paint, and I tend to associate music with colours, and I was coincidentally listening to music that made me think of the colour blue. But I'm glad that that happened because it's actually one of my favourite parts of the painting. So there was actually something funny about this painting that I noticed a few months after I painted it. After I finished the painting, I set the scanned version as my computer's wallpaper. But this made me start to realise its flaws, because I was looking at it most days. And it was a pretty big flaw. For some reason in the moment of sketching, I completely forgot my own character's design, and put his side cloak on the complete wrong side. I still like the painting, but whenever I look at it, it just makes me laugh. So So the reason I thought of doing this light coming from his hand is because he can manipulate light, like into shapes and stuff. So I wanted like a flower coming from his hand because I like nature stuff. I ended up choosing an iris because blue ones represent hope. But you'll see later on in the painting, because the flower is made of light, I painted it yellow. Now I don't know what yellow irises mean. Do they even come in yellow? I don't know. So now I want to talk about why I picked the specific media that I did at certain times. So I started off with watercolour because I wanted to mainly use coloured pencils. But I don't like covering large areas with coloured pencils. So that's why I used the watercolours at the start. And then I started doing the details with the coloured pencil. But you'll notice that occasionally I'll get the colourless Copic marker and blend out the pencil. I did this because I wanted to see how the pencil reacted to the alcohol marker, because I had heard that it could smooth it out a bit. And it did a little, but not too much. So you'll notice here with the cloak that I started doing larger blocks of colour with markers. So why didn't I just go back to the watercolours? And that's because I'd put away the watercolours already and I was just too lazy to go and grab them. And then towards the end I go in with the gouache. And that's because sometimes I just want the opaque look, but mostly it was because I wanted to go over something on the painting and most of the other materials were very transparent. So yeah, I don't really have much more to talk about on this video, but I do want to say that this was my first time doing a voiceover, and if there's anything I can improve, please let me know. Alright, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the speed paint.